Hello there, skaters. So my mission at this time is to try to see how many rotations I can do in a sit spin. And this extremist pursuit requires a few extremist behaviors. Like, I want to skate as fast as I can handle into the spin. I want to get as deep edges as I can handle into the spin. And I want to make as little noise as possible. Yes, the deep edges make that crackling sound, but I don't want to scratch unnecessarily with my toe pick during the spin, especially at the beginning of the spin. It's hard to get a spin centered without scratching a little bit at the beginning of the spin, but I want to try to keep that to a minimum. And then after that, it's just a matter of keeping the spin quiet and maintaining my balance. It takes a certain amount of strength also to hold that position for a certain length of time. So let's see how I can do with this. I know I can do 35 rotations. Maybe I can get 40. We'll see. Now, as part of the rules of the game, I didn't say that I had to stand up at the end of the spin. So I basically tried to squeeze out every rotation I could, and then I fell down. I don't know how many rotations that was. I don't know who might have been counting. But actually, I was pretty satisfied with that. I think I skated into it with pretty good speed. I didn't scratch too much at the beginning. It wasn't, it wasn't a perfectly well-centered spin. It did travel, all these loops. It moved around a little bit, but it stayed pretty quiet. So I don't know how much better I could do than that. I could maybe try one more time and see if I can get it better centered from the start. Maybe with that warm-up that I just did, maybe I'll be comfortable to skate into it a little faster as well on a nice deep gliding edge. So let's see what kind of speed I can handle here. I'm trying to keep my balance very steady even now, because steadiness and balance is part of the formula. Well, I think I could have kept my balance and squeezed out a few more rotations on the end of that. I still had pretty good speed when I fell down. Maybe it was just a little bit of fatigue. This spin was very, very well centered. So I didn't count the rotations. Maybe I did a little better than last time. I did feel like I started a little faster. So there is that. And whether I could improve on that, I don't know. I don't know if I need to put you through that. You get the idea, right? Lots of speed, nice deep edge. I get a sense of not wanting to over rotate it on that on that edge. When I do that Choctaw from back inside to forward outside, I don't want to over rotate into the spin. I'm kind of holding back on the rotation, just gliding on that edge, and then it just kind of like whips into the spin. It becomes sudden rotation. And yeah, so go out and try and see how many rotations you can get in your sit spin. One of the rules that I didn't mention is that you have to be in a sit spin position to get credit for a rotation in a sit spin. In other words, you need to be low enough. This thigh has to be parallel to the ice, at least parallel to the ice. You're going to be gliding on the front of your blades with toe pick just barely touching the ice maybe. So if you practice, and you're gliding backwards in a sit spin too, so if you practice this exercise, this gives you a sense of how much you have to bend. And yeah, and I'm on the front of my blades with the toe picks just barely scratching. And I try to do this with the feet together, because in the sit spin you're on one foot, but your foot is right underneath you, so it's not out here. This is easier to do, right? So to practice, if you're just at a level where you're even trying to do a sit spin at all, practice this exercise, bending as much as you can into the hips, so my ribs are touching my thighs, bending as much, pushing into the tongues of those skates as well, so the ankle is as far bent forward as possible as well. As much bend here and here as possible to get low in that sit spin. And yeah, once you can do that, then you're ready for the sit spin itself. Yeah, you can, it's getting down into the low position that's the hard part. So for those of you that have trouble getting low enough, if you're here, this is a very difficult stage here. But once you get down here, then it becomes easy to sustain. So there's sort of that halfway zone that's quite difficult, whereas if you figure out how to get into that position, it's going to be there ready for you. For this exercise, because I want to start in the sit spin position at the beginning of the spin, right? I don't want to go waste any of my rotations where I'm not low enough. So I try on this exercise to get right into the sit spin, right at as soon as possible, right at the beginning of the spin. I want to get into that low position. There is that too. And so that requires a bend on already bending, right? On the forward outside edge, already got a pretty good bend in a pretty low position. So not having to fall that much at the start of the actual spin itself. The free leg makes a nice, smooth rond de jambe from back to forward, right? How smoothly can you make that free leg come from back to forward? Although it's maybe not necessary for this high rotation challenge, but for the style of the sit spin itself, if we can close up the gap here, that's a nice looking spin. And if I turn out my foot, it's easier to get lower, because if the foot's not turned out, you have to lift it higher to keep it off the ice, right? Turn it out and you can get lower, and it is more stylish as well with that turnout of the free leg. All right. That's it for sit spins for today. Enjoy your sit spins, make them better and better. And see if you can do more rotations in your sit spin than that Gary Beacom. Bye! Gambatte!